Welcome to the Unstuck Podcast. I'm your host, Shawn Mynar. This weekly no-fluff mindset show arms you with the practical tools you need to get unstuck so you can get exactly what you want out of life. Remember, when you change your mind, your life will follow. Let's get into today's episode. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to the Unstuck Podcast. I'm Shawn, your host on each and every episode, and I am so grateful to have you here. If this is your first time joining us on Unstuck, welcome. Happy to have you. Get comfortable, get a nice beverage and some snacks, and stick around. And I hope you enjoy other episodes as well. If you are a seasoned Unstuck listener, welcome back. Always so grateful for you as well. All right, today is a special, super special episode, one that will forever remain near and dear to my heart. And I just think it is the perfect time to share this story. I will tell you right from the get-go, I have zero notes. I am just going to share this story. So I hope you're ready for some story time. I have no idea. It's probably going to go all over the place. So be prepared to try to make sense of my rambling. But I wanted to share this episode of how I manifested my fiance, because I am officially, or we are officially engaged. And as I am actually recording this episode pretty well in advance because of the holidays and then my birthday and things like that, we actually haven't told anyone this as I am recording this. So it feels a little strange to be sharing into a microphone this news when my family doesn't even know yet. But by the time this airs, everyone will know. It'll be common knowledge. We'll be celebrating. I probably will already have shared on social media about it too. So this may not even be news to you when you're listening to this, but I still thought it was the perfect opportunity to just come on and record an episode about how I manifested this relationship. And I did absolutely manifest it. There were so many things that now looking back on it had to happen in the way that they happened for this to work. And there were so many things I did that made it so I was ready, body, mind, and soul, for this relationship. And the same thing goes with her too. So I'm going to share that with you today. And really, a lot of this you will find so many different little nuggets that you can take and apply to any area of your life that you want to manifest something in. But this one really is for the single people out there, because prior to me getting into this relationship, I had been single for a really long time. And prior to being single for a really long time, I had been in some not so great relationships. So my track record with romance was pretty poor, and it left me feeling really down, sad, worried that I would be single forever, frustrated that I couldn't find anyone. I also was really at that point for quite a long time where it was like everywhere I went, there were happy couples. And if you have ever been single, you know what that's like when it's something that you want so badly and then you just see it everywhere. And then as soon as you're in a relationship, you don't even recognize all the other relationships around you that you see everywhere you go. Back when we could go places and we'd go to coffee shops and restaurants in the park and you see all these happy couples. Well, once you're not looking for that and you have that, you are one of those people, you don't notice. But when you are single and you're looking for that and you can't find it, it seems like it's everywhere. It's in your face. And that's really where I found myself for a long time, being in that kind of state of mind too. So I just want to dedicate this episode, I guess, to the single people out there and let you know that it, if you want it to, can and will happen, and it will be beyond your wildest dreams when it does. But do really take what I have to say today to heart and see what you can do to apply some of the tools that I used into your own kind of dating relationship experience you're going through right now. So here we go. I guess I will start. Let me start at the end and let you know, in case you do not know, that my forever partner, my fiance, my soon-to-be spouse, is going to be my wife. So if you do not know, I am in a same-sex relationship. I have been for, I think this is, 2.5 years. And it's my first ever same-sex relationship. So that will kind of set the stage a little bit. I think it does make it makes the story to some degree, because I really had to let go of a lot in order to get into this relationship. So stage is set. Now let's go way back to me being single for over 6 years. And in that time, I went on dates, lots of first, Bumble, Match, Tinder dates, I guess. And the more dates you go on, or the more people you talk to, the more things that don't work, you naturally start creating a longer and longer list of what you want in your partner. And that was happening to me, especially because I knew what I didn't want based on the poor experiences, the poor relationships I had been in the past. So I already had a list going from that of like, never doing that again. This person I end up with cannot be like that or do that or have that. And then I also had this list that was kind of accumulating as I was going through the process of being single and looking for love, that I would just keep adding more and more things to this list of what I didn't want, or what I guess, more of what I didn't want than what I did want, to be honest. And it wasn't because I was trying to be picky. It was just because I didn't want to get hurt. I didn't want to get into another bad relationship again. At this point, I was just so fed up that I was like, you know what? Being single is way better than being in a relationship that is bad. And so it was really in effort to try to do that and have that. And so my list just so long, this must-have list for my partner. There were a lot of stories mixed in with that list, a lot of subconscious programming about relationships and how romantic relationships should look. And as it relates to the same-sex relationship, I just grew up always thinking that it would be a man that I was with. I never even questioned anything different. There was not very much gay representation where I lived. It wasn't something that I saw very often. It was something that wasn't ever talked about. It just wasn't even in my existence. And so the programming from a very young age as a girl is, and this is not even based on anything that my family did or anything like that. It's even just watching TV, watching movies. It was like a man and a woman. And that was my programming. So I didn't think any different. Period, end of story. That's what it was. So that is the first thing that we really need to know about this manifestation, was that that's where I was. And then the second thing about where I was this wanting the relationship so badly and trying to be okay with being single and finding the good in being single and just representing my single life as best as I could. But at the end of the day, still spending so much time and so much energy wanting my situation to be different. Feeling frustrated, feeling worried that this wouldn't ever change, that I would just be single forever, and just wanting that connection so badly and wanting the love and wanting someone to do things with, all the stuff, all the reasons we want to be in a relationship. I wanted that. And the more I wanted it and the longer I spent wanting it, but then trying to pretend I didn't want it or trying to be okay with not having it, trying to make the best of being single, it wasn't happening. I was still spending so much energy and so much time thinking about what I didn't have. So both of those things were really putting me into this place of being energetically opposite of what I was trying to attract, of what I really wanted. I had these walls of resistance up just because of all of the stuff, all of the muck that I had created around a romantic relationship. This super long this super long must-have list, kind of a to-do list, I guess, of what my partner needed to be or not be and how badly I wanted it. And the emotion that came up because of how badly I wanted it and it wasn't happening. So here's what I did. And if you don't know, let me remind you that with this work that I now teach here on Unstuck, the mindset work and the energy work specifically, I first got into all of this because of my health issues. And I really wanted to work on the mindset stuff and the energy stuff as it related to my health and my body, my physical body, to see if I could aid it in healing. And when that worked, as that started working, I then was like, cool, well, maybe I'll try this on my business too. So I took all of those tools I was using and adjusted them to start doing so in my business. And then it started to work in my business. And so then I was like, well, shoot, I think there's really something to this. Let me try to do so in my romantic relationship. It was really, those three things were struggle city for me, kind of all at the same time. And so that was the last thing that I was like, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to see what happens if I do this. So this was really started, I guess, let's see, I'm trying to do the math, probably in 2017, mid 2017. First things first, I completely let go of that must-have list. For the first time ever, I let go of anything, any idea of how a relationship in my life needed to look. Any idea. I remember I had this like full let go ceremony. Like I ripped up all the notes I had created because, I journal a lot. So I was journaling about my future partner. I just ripped all of that up. Like I just had this full let go ceremony where I was like, I'm done with this list. I'm going to take it way, way back to the very beginning. I'm going to start from scratch, totally, completely from scratch. So no longer did I have these ideas of what this person needed to look like, that my relationship had to be a certain way with a certain person, and even without me knowing, be a certain gender. Now, I didn't know this, but when I had gone through this let go ceremony and when I really had started to just like get to this place where I was totally open, fully 100% open and ready to start from scratch, that in that process, I had let go of a ton of muck. The subconscious beliefs, the subconscious stories, all of the ideas that my brain had held on to of what my relationship needed to look like. It was, I think we talk a lot about this on the show here, is that it takes a lot of work and a lot of time sometimes to let go of these limiting beliefs. But then I really think that other times it's almost just like there's this click. And you just let it go. And I think it really depends on the situation, what you're ready to let go of. And I think I was really at that point where I was just so ready to let go of all of it that it literally was just like a split second and I had a new outlook. So instead of this must-have list, or must-have not list really is what it was, I created a new list. And on this list, I only put on there how I wanted to feel in my relationship. It had nothing to do with looks or must-haves or must-have-nots. It had nothing to do with that other person. It was how I wanted to feel when I was in the relationship of my dreams. So I would take my time. I would get into this place where I could visualize me being in this wonderful, loving, amazing, beautiful relationship. And then I would write down how it felt, like what it felt like to be in that place. And it was about me. I made it about me and how I felt, not about what the other person was doing or saying or not doing. It was just about me and how I wanted to feel. So that was the first thing I did. The second thing, this was a hard one. This one was not just a click, but over time, it really did settle in. And I would say probably over a few months, it really did settle in where I could fully embrace my single life. Around the time that this was starting to infuse in my life, because as I said, it wasn't quite as quick as this other step that I did, but around this time, I was looking for a place to live. I had found my condo. I was getting ready to move, all of that stuff. And so I got really excited about my life. I was excited about the life I was about to create in my new place. And just by doing that, and just a side note too, to show how well this works, is I fully embraced that single life that I had. And let go of the trying to like it, but then really wanting to be in a relationship and seeing that proof everywhere that I didn't have what I wanted kind of thing, which I had been kind of forcing that, but fully openly embracing it. And the condo that I found was perfect for one person. That just shows how well it worked, that my dream condo was a one-person condo. And because I had so openly embraced this, I was down for it. I was like, cool, yeah, absolutely. This is my dream condo. I'm going to have this amazing life in it. I can see myself here. And you know the story back from the episode about how I manifested that place. But here we are. It was a perfect spot for one person. So just doing all of that collapsed my resistance. It put down my walls that I unknowingly had up. The last thing that I did as far as manifesting is I acted as if. I figured out, now I had that list of the things that I wanted to feel in my romantic relationship, and I started finding other ways to have those things. For instance, companionship, love. So I really started to make sure I was finding that feeling in my friends and family and doing things with them and really feeling filled up in other ways so that I wasn't relying on a romantic relationship to make me feel any sort of way. I already had that in my life then. And in that process, not only having the other things going on to where I felt how I wanted to feel in a relationship, so I was really getting full of all the good emotions, but I was appreciating it too. I was really making sure to acknowledge the fact that I had other areas of my life where I could also feel that way, and really feeling it and really appreciating that. So I really sunk in to those positive emotions. And so those are really the three things I did manifestation-wise and energy-wise to make a space for my partner that I did not have when I thought I had, and when I thought I was trying to look for a partner and being single and doing all the things you're supposed to do when you're single to get into a relationship. I didn't have space for it. I wasn't in the right place. I wasn't in the right frequency. And I sure as heck wasn't going to attract the right person. When I went through those things is when I was able to attract the right person. So now this brings us to, I don't even know when it was, but there was one particular night. One night, I don't know why. I have no idea why, except that the universe brought this to me, in that I had the download that it was going to be her. I just knew it. I mean, especially now, to think, now that we are like officially engaged, officially going to spend the rest of our lives together, and I knew it that one night. And this was after 5 years of us being friends, just friends, like regularly seeing each other as friends and talking about stuff. And she was going through some health issues at the same time as I was, like just friends. And then one night I got the download, and it felt so different. And I can't explain it any other way except manifestation. And kind of another explanation, I guess, too, of the manifestation is that it didn't feel weird. Like, yes, it was weird that this was the download, but it also felt very right. And for it to be a woman, when I had never even contemplated dating another woman, not against it, obviously, by any means, but it just wasn't something that was ever in my experience until that night. But then it also felt completely right. So that is just, it's just so powerful. I think it's just a really powerful story and also lesson of manifestation. And then this kind of, neither here nor there, but we'll continue the story so I don't leave you all hanging. So after I had that download, my ego got in the way, and I spent a couple months being like, no, that's not possible. Trying to make sense of it, letting this ego thing take over, reining it back in and wanting it to work, but then also being afraid of what she would say, not wanting to hurt our friendship, all of this stuff. So I just had all this ego talk that comes up is, when you have this download that's like kind of unexplainable, but also really amazing. And then your ego is like, what? Freak out. So I had a little bit of that for a few months. And at the end of it, I sent a text, and we now call it the text that changed everything. It is now printed out and is a Christmas ornament on our Christmas tree. We wrote an article about it and actually had it published on the Gottman Institute website. I will try to link to that in the show notes in case you didn't ever see it. I posted it in my Instagram stories a while ago, but I'll repost that in case you haven't read that. It's about our story, but in a more practical, non-manifestation approach, and shares that actual text that I sent to her. And here we are, getting engaged 2.5 years later, and really being my person, really being able to check the boxes of that entire list of how I wanted to feel in a relationship. Not like needs to be 6'2" and dark hair and blue eyes, not that. How I wanted to feel in a relationship, to know that I was in my relationship. And that is what I get to feel every single day with my now fiance. And so I guess I'll leave it there for now. We don't know really anything about any sort of wedding. We've talked elopement. We've talked just having a small party eventually when we can have parties. I don't know. We may do a big thing. We may not do anything. I think it kind of depends on when we can start having people gather without super precautions and masks and things like that. So it kind of depends. But right now we're just happy to be in this place. And that's the story. So I know when we hear love stories, we get wrapped up in the love story. But I do want to bring it back to a little lesson on manifestation and kind of break down why this worked the way it did. So a reminder, I was able to focus on how I wanted to feel and start feeling that now. I was able to be happy as my life stood in the present moment. So really try to stay present in the here and now versus being mad about the past and my past relationships or how long I was single, or being worried about the future and being single forever, where I was currently finding myself. So that was another thing. I let go. Just overall, I let go. I just let go of so much. I just took a big, deep breath and let it all go. And I think that is so powerful and so important. And when you can do that, it's like your beliefs can start to crumble a little bit. They can start to dissolve, or you can start finding cracks in those stories you've been telling about yourself if you just start letting go. So I was able to do that when it came to my relationship and how I wanted it to go. And that was really important. And I think the most important thing is that I was able to get that nudge, get that download, and run with it. As crazy as it sounded at the time, as weird as it was, but also still feeling that rightness and still knowing it was something I needed to explore, and really feeling that it was the universe bringing something into my existence that I wanted desperately, and moving forward with it and getting out of my comfort zone, sending a really uncomfortable text to someone that had been my friend for a really long time. I had to go with it. I had to trust that and really move forward with it. Trust my inner voice, know that it was the right thing for both of us, and put myself out there. Just to sum it up, a few little lessons from this story. All right, I guess that will do it for today. Thank you all so much for listening, for being open, for being accepting, for loving me for who I am, for just being here and being you and letting me be me. I'm so excited to continue sharing this journey with you, and we'll do so together here on Unstuck. Until next time, take care.